I'm Vanessa Miller, 36 years old, and birthdays have never been my thing. No huge celebrations, no glittering social media posts about how I'm living my best life. Usually, a quiet dinner with my husband is all I need. But this year, my family wouldn't let it go. They insisted on throwing me a party at my parents' place in Cleveland, Ohio. The dining room was crammed with relatives, their smiles stiff, their small talk exhausting. I wanted to vanish into the wallpaper. Then my younger sister strutted over, a shiny gift box in her hands, wrapped with a perfect golden bow. "This is for you," she said, her grin too sharp, too polished. I set it on the table, shrugged, tried to brush it off. But my husband, David, didn't. He eyed the box, his jaw tightening. "Don't open it," he muttered, his voice low and urgent. I laughed nervously, trying to make light of it. "What? Why?" He leaned closer, whispering, "Can't you see it?" I frowned, looking again. At first glance, it was just another fancy box. But then I noticed the details. No handwritten card, no personal touch. Instead, a printed label with an unfamiliar logo stared back at me. My stomach twisted. Something was wrong. Later that night, my sister Melissa called, her voice dripping with sugar. "So, did you open it yet?" "Yeah," I lied, my finger hovering over the end call button. "It's great." But I hadn't touched it. I couldn't. I knew deep down, it wasn't a gift. It was a problem wrapped in shiny paper. 30 minutes later, police knocked at our door. My pulse spiked. This was no ordinary birthday surprise. What would you do with a shady gift like that? I asked the viewers watching this story unfold. Would you rip it open, or call the cops first? Smash that subscribe button and tell me in the comments. Because trust me, this only gets darker. Back at our house, the box sat on the kitchen counter, its bow catching the light mockingly. David paced beside it like it was a live bomb. His eyes never left it. "That logo," he said, pointing at the label. "This isn't some random boutique. Look closer." I squinted. The logo read Silverline Exports, sleek, professional, stamped in bold. Below it, an address in Chicago. No sender's name. No personal message. Just paperwork tucked under the ribbon, listing me as the buyer. Not Melissa. Not anyone I knew. David's voice sharpened. She swore it was from her. But this looks like a business deal gone wrong. My chest tightened. David had instincts I trusted. On job sites, he'd spotted shady contracts before. But my sister, why would she drag me into this? I grabbed my phone, thumb hovering over Melissa's number. But I couldn't call her. Not yet. My mind flashed back to our childhood. To all the times Mom and Dad let her skate by while I took the blame. She'd borrow my bike, crash it into a ditch, and somehow I'd be grounded for not supervising. In high school, she ran up a $600 phone bill on Mom's plan, and I was the one stuck paying it off with my summer job. "Vanessa's responsible," Dad used to say, as if that explained everything. Mom would nod, smiling at Melissa, "She's just young. Let her be." That favoritism cut me then, and it burned now. The box glinted under the kitchen lights, almost taunting me. I needed answers. But not from Melissa. Not yet. Instead, I called my best friend Claire, who worked at a bank downtown. "Hey, can you check something for me?" I asked, keeping my voice steady. "There's this company, Silverline Exports. It's on a package I just got. Something feels off." Claire didn't hesitate. "Send me the details. I'll run it through our system." I snapped a photo of the label and texted it to her. Meanwhile, David pulled up Silverline's website. It was bare bones, filled with stock photos, almost no contact information. "This screams shell company," David muttered. "They're hiding something." An hour later, Claire called me back. Her tone was hushed, urgent. "Vanessa, this is bad. Silverline Exports is tied to a cluster of suspicious accounts, and one of them has your name on it. Same address, same ID." My blood ran cold. My name. My address. On accounts I had never touched. "There's more," she continued. One account in your name was opened 6 months ago, and the digital signature matches yours. I nearly dropped the phone. My signature. David snatched the paperwork from the box, flipping through it. This lists you as the buyer for some art piece, he said, jabbing at the page. $10,000, Vanessa. They're setting you up. My head spun. I remembered last year when Melissa had borrowed my laptop, claiming it was for her influencer projects. She'd sat in my living room typing away, all smiles. Had she pulled my passwords then? My personal files? I felt sick. Mom and Dad had always bailed her out, no matter what. When she dropped out of college, they covered her rent. When her fashion blog tanked, they paid her debts. And I was always the one expected to hold everything together. Claire's voice snapped me back. Vanessa, you need to check your email, your bank accounts, everything. If your name is on these, you could be in real trouble. I logged into my email, my hands trembling. There it was, a confirmation from Silverline Exports, dated 3 months ago. Thanking me for a purchase I never made. $15,000. My full name, my address, my phone number, all staring back at me. I forwarded it to Claire. Can you trace this? Already on it, she said. But listen, this isn't sloppy. Someone's deliberately using your identity. David sat down beside me, his face grim. We're not opening that box. Not until we know exactly what's going on. I nodded, but inside, panic clawed at me. Melissa's smile at the party replayed in my head. Her voice on the phone, all sugar and fake warmth. Had she set me up? And if so, how far was she willing to go? My hands trembled as I opened Claire's email. Attached were shipping manifests and invoices, all listing me as the buyer of a ceramic statue worth $20,000. One document even showed Melissa's brand as a consulting partner. It was undeniable. This is all the proof I need, I muttered. She didn't just drag me into this by accident. She planned it. I thought about confronting her, demanding answers. But I knew Melissa. She'd lie, twist, and spin until everyone saw me as the villain. No, I needed the truth on record. I dialed the Cleveland Police Department. My voice shook, but I forced it steady. I need to report a crime, I told the dispatcher. Someone is using my name for illegal activity, and I've got a suspicious package tied to it in my house. The dispatcher's tone shifted instantly. Do not touch the package. Officers are on their way. I hung up, my heart hammering. David squeezed my hand. You did the right thing. 30 minutes later, a sharp knock rattled the front door. 2 officers stood on the porch, badges gleaming under the light. The taller one introduced himself as Officer Daniels, his partner as Officer Carter. Ms. Miller? Daniels asked, his voice calm but firm. We're here about the package you reported. I nodded quickly and led them to the kitchen. The box sat there, bow still pristine, mocking me with its fake innocence. That's it, I said, pointing. I haven't touched it since I got it. Carter jotted notes in her pad. Good. We'll take a look. Both officers pulled on gloves. Daniels carefully untied the ribbon and lifted the lid. Nestled in foam was a ceramic statue, no bigger than a football, covered in intricate designs that looked expensive but felt fake. Daniels tilted it. A faint rattle came from inside. He exchanged a glance with Carter. There's something in there, he said quietly. They set the statue on a plastic sheet and cracked it open with a small tool. My jaw dropped as bundles of cash spilled out, tightly bound in plastic. Alongside it lay a sleek USB drive. This isn't just art, Daniels said grimly. This is a drop point for dirty money. Relief and fury surged through me at once. I hadn't imagined it. Melissa really had tried to frame me. I have proof I didn't do this, I said, shoving my phone toward them. Play the recording. Daniels tapped the screen, and Melissa's sugary voice filled the kitchen. Did you open the gift yet? What did you think of the sculpture? Her nervous tone was undeniable. Carter raised an eyebrow. She was fishing. Wanted to know if you found what was inside. I pulled up Claire's emails, showing them the invoices and manifests linking Silverline Exports to Melissa's brand. My friend works at a bank, I explained. She traced the package. It's all tied to money laundering. Carter scanned the documents quickly. These match cases we've seen before, shell companies moving cash through fake art shipments. She looked at me, her expression softening. Your name's on the paperwork, but this recording and the timing prove you weren't complicit. Daniels nodded. Whoever sent this wanted you caught holding the bag. David stepped in. His voice was sharp. It was her sister-in-law, Melissa. She's been using Vanessa's identity. I handed over the USB drive with all of Claire's files. Every invoice, every email, her brand is tied to Silverline. She even called to check if I'd opened it. Carter plugged the drive into their device. Minutes ticked by before she nodded. This is solid. Her brand's listed as a partner, and your recording shows intent. We'll need to bring her in. A breath I hadn't realized I was holding escaped me. So, I'm clear. Daniel's expression softened. Based on this, yes. The evidence points to someone setting you up. Not you. David squeezed my shoulder, and for the first time in days, a sliver of relief broke through. The officers bagged the cash and USB as evidence, sealing the statue in a box. We'll need you to come to the station tomorrow for a formal statement, Carter said, handing me her card. Bring anything else. Texts, emails, anything from your sister. I tucked the card into my pocket. What happens to her now? Daniels adjusted his cap. If her name's tied to this operation, she's facing serious charges. As they left, patrol car lights fading into the night, I slumped into a chair. David's eyes met mine across the table. You okay? I shook my head. No. She's my sister, David. How could she do this? He reached for my hand. She made her choice. You did what you had to. But my chest ached. Melissa's fake cheer from the call echoed in my head. I had trusted her once. Now I knew I was just a pawn in her schemes. Later that night, Claire sent me one final file, a bank record showing Melissa's brand receiving a payment from Silverline the exact day the box was shipped. It was the nail in the coffin. I forwarded it straight to Officer Carter's email. My fingers trembled, but my resolve had hardened. This wasn't just about clearing my name anymore. It was about making sure Melissa couldn't hurt anyone else. David's face was set with determination as he looked at me. We're done playing her game, he said. I nodded. It's time for her to face the truth. The next morning, the sun barely peeked through the blinds when I drafted a text message. My fingers hovered, then tapped out the words, family meeting at my house tonight. 7 p.m. We need to talk. No explanations. No excuses. Just a demand. Melissa's reply came within seconds. Sounds good, sparkling heart. The heart emoji made my skin crawl. A few minutes later, Mom and Dad sent their confirmation. Okay. David studied me from across the table. You sure about this? I nodded. They need to hear it from me, all of it. No more lies. No more dodging. By evening, the living room was set. I'd moved the coffee table aside to clear space, though the air still felt heavy, oppressive. David stood near the doorway, arms crossed, his presence a quiet shield at my back. The doorbell rang at exactly 7. Melissa walked in first, her designer jacket practically screaming her influencer lifestyle. She flashed a bright smile, but her eyes darted nervously. Mom and Dad followed, their faces tight, as if they already sensed the storm brewing. What's this about, Vanessa? Mom asked softly as she sank onto the couch. Dad sat beside her, gaze flicking uneasily toward the kitchen counter where the box had once rested. Melissa perched on the armchair like it was her throne, her smile stretched too thin. Yeah, what's up? She chirped. I didn't sit. I stood tall, my voice steady. Why did you use my name for your shady deal, Melissa? Her smile froze. Mom's hand flew to her chest. Dad's jaw clenched, but he stayed silent. Melissa let out a nervous laugh. What are you even talking about? I didn't do anything. I held up my phone. The recording cued and ready. Her sugary voice spilled from the speaker. Did you open the gift yet? What did you think of the sculpture? The room fell silent. Mom's eyes widened. Dad stared at the floor. Melissa's mouth opened, then shut. I stopped the playback. The police found cash and a USB drive hidden inside the statue. It's tied to Silverline exports, tied to money laundering. And my name was all over the paperwork. Melissa's face went pale. Her hands gripped the armrest like she might fall off. That's crazy, she stammered. I just sent you a gift. Stop lying. My voice was sharp now. The cops have everything. Contracts, bank records, invoices with your brand name on them. You used my identity, Melissa. Why? Her eyes darted to Mom and Dad, pleading silently. But they didn't move. Finally, she slumped back, her voice small. Okay, fine. I needed a name. Silverline offered me a cut if I helped move some money. I used yours because you're clean. No one would suspect you. My stomach twisted, but the rage burned hotter. You set me up to take the fall. Tears welled in her eyes, but they didn't soften me. It wasn't supposed to go this far, she whispered. They told me it was just paperwork. No big deal. I turned to Mom and Dad. And you too, did you know? Mom's lips trembled. We didn't know everything. Melissa said she needed your info for a business thing. We thought it was harmless. Dad nodded. You've always been strong, Vanessa. We figured if something went wrong, you could handle it. The words sliced through me. Handle it? You let her drag me into a crime because I'm strong. You threw me under the bus. Mom reached for me, but I stepped back. Vanessa, we didn't mean it like that, she said desperately. Melissa just needed help. And you've always been the one who could take it. Melissa sniffled, wiping her eyes. I didn't want to hurt you. I just needed a way out. I laughed bitterly. A way out? You almost ruined my life. The cops could have arrested me. I turned my fury back on our parents. And you too enabled her, again. You always have. David's voice cut in, low but firm. You all knew she was using Vanessa's name, and you didn't stop her. Dad shifted uncomfortably. We thought we were helping her get back on her feet. She's had a rough time. The rage in me boiled over. And I haven't. I've spent my whole life cleaning up her messes. And this time, you let her turn me into a criminal. Melissa's tears fell harder, but I felt nothing. I'm sorry, she whimpered. I'll fix it. I'll talk to the cops. I crossed my arms. You don't get to fix this. The police already have your name. They're coming for you. Mom gasped. Vanessa, she's your sister. You can't turn her in. I met her eyes, unflinching. She turned herself in the moment she used my name. I'm done protecting her. And I'm done protecting you. The words hung heavy in the air, final and cold. Dad shot up, his face red. You don't mean that. We're family. I shook my head slowly. Family doesn't do this. Family doesn't sacrifice one child to protect another. You chose her every time. I'm not your safety net anymore. Melissa sobbed, but I was unmoved. Get out, I said, pointing to the door. All of you. For a long moment, they just sat there, Mom's eyes pleading, Dad's jaw tight, Melissa's face crumbling. Then David stepped closer, his presence solid. You heard her. One by one, they rose. Melissa clutched her purse, mascara streaking her cheeks. I didn't mean for this, she whispered. I didn't answer. Mom reached for my hand again. Vanessa, please. I pulled away. No. I'm done. The door clicked shut behind them, leaving the house eerily silent. I collapsed onto the couch, my hands shaking. David slid beside me, his arm around my shoulders. You did what you had to, he said gently. I nodded, but the weight of it all crashed down. I was free, but it didn't feel like victory. It felt like loss. 6 months later, the courtroom was packed when Melissa stood before the judge, head bowed. The verdict was swift: 2 years of probation, a $12,000 fine, and a ban on business ventures for 5 years. Her influencer career was dead. Mom and Dad weren't spared either. For enabling her, they were fined $5,000 each and sentenced to 50 hours of community service. As they filed out, they tried to catch my eye. I looked away. My choice was made. Back home after the trial, I took the final step. I blocked Melissa's number, her social media, her email, every thread she could use to snake back into my life. Mom and Dad got the same treatment. Their texts begging for forgiveness kept buzzing for a week, then stopped. For the first time in decades, I felt silence that wasn't heavy, it was clean. I didn't feel guilt. Only relief. My life had been theirs to lean on for too long, and I was done carrying their weight. David was my anchor through it all, steady and unshakable. Amanda became family too, her loyalty fierce, her humor sharp enough to cut through my darker days. We'd meet for coffee at a small cafe downtown, her laughter reminding me what real support felt like. The house, once thick with tension, slowly felt like home again. I threw myself into my design work, creating spaces that felt safe, personal, everything my childhood home never was. David and I began planning a trip to the coast, just the two of us, to clear the air and start fresh. Every morning, as sunlight poured across the kitchen counter where that cursed box had once sat, I felt lighter. Instead of dread, I felt peace. Instead of fear, I felt strength. I'd protected myself, drawn a line no one could cross. That was my victory. But late at night, the questions still came. Why had Melissa chosen me? Was it jealousy, desperation, or just convenience? And why had my parents believed it was okay to sacrifice me for her mistakes? I never got clear answers. But maybe I didn't need them anymore. 6 months after the courtroom verdict, Amanda forwarded me one last file, a bank record stamped and signed. It showed Melissa's brand receiving a consulting payment from Silverline Exports on the exact day the package had been shipped to me. It was the nail in the coffin. The evidence proved what I had always known: Melissa hadn't stumbled into this mess by accident. She had orchestrated it. Deliberately. Coldly. She'd risked my freedom to protect herself. I stared at the file, my hand trembling on the mouse. Then I closed it and dragged it into an archive folder. Done. Sealed away. Life moved forward. By autumn, my design business was thriving again. Word spread in Westfield that I'd stood tall, cleared my name, and refused to be buried by my sister's lies. Clients trickled back, some offering quiet apologies, others simply sliding into my schedule like nothing had happened. I didn't need their explanations. Their return was enough. David and I stood side by side in my studio one evening, blueprints spread across the drafting table. He slipped his arm around my waist and kissed my temple. "You've built this all back yourself," he murmured. I smiled. "No. We built it." He grinned. "Then let's keep building." We talked about opening a second office, maybe even expanding into Chicago. The idea scared me, but it also lit a fire in my chest. Growth on my terms, not on anyone else's. Mom and Dad tried reaching out once more, this time through an old family friend. A handwritten letter arrived, simple and short. "We're sorry. We miss you. Please come back." I folded it carefully, slid it into a drawer, and never replied. Because here's the truth I'd finally learned: family isn't just blood. Family is trust. Family is respect. And if people don't honor that, they don't deserve the title. Melissa had lost her career, her credibility, and the pedestal our parents had always built for her. And in that rubble, I found something better, myself. I wasn't bitter anymore. Just wiser. Strength, I realized, isn't about carrying everyone else's burdens until you collapse. It's about knowing when to set them down and walk away. So, I walked away. Now, when I tell my story, it's not to shame them. It's to remind others that you can give everything, your time, your money, your love, and still not be enough for people who refuse to see you. But when you finally stand tall, when you stop apologizing for existing, when you protect your own worth, you find the people who matter. People like David. People like Amanda. People who see you for who you are, not what you can give. Tonight, as I sit at this same kitchen table, typing these words, I glance at the counter where that glittering box once sat, mocking me. It's empty now, but in my mind, I see it clearly: the bow, the shine, the trap it carried inside. That box was supposed to ruin me. Instead, it freed me. Because the truth hidden inside wasn't just cash or a dirty USB drive. It was a lesson I'd needed all along. I don't need to carry anyone else's lies. I've got my own story to live. And it's mine. So to anyone watching this video, to anyone who's ever been betrayed by someone you thought you could trust, know this: you're not alone. You can stand up. You can walk away. And you can rebuild on your own terms. If my story resonates with you, hit that subscribe button and share your own in the comments. I'd love to hear them. Here's to peace. Here's to strength. Here's to finally choosing ourselves.